Right. Hello, everybody. We're gonna start to work some more on Dave's cabin, which, as you probably know, is the staff cabin that doesn't exist anymore, but is the staff cabin that existed up at Staff Row. um, so I'm pretty sure I created a new level for this, and I called it Cabin 1. Um, let's go ahead and open up Cabin 1 and let's see what we have here. So it looks like it's partly built. This is something we were doing about a week ago, I think. Since then, we've kind of pivoted over to the health lodge and some other things. Um, Let me just make sure the stream is looking good. And looks like we're up. Okay. So we're gonna continue doing the Dave's cabin here. So let's just remind ourselves what this looks like. Um, we got wood trim everywhere, kind of going vertical. And then we have this wood deck. I don't think there's a wood deck in the back. Pretty sure it was just a stair step that went out to the back. So we'll reuse probably the stairs that we made here up front. But I think we have most everything except for windows, doors, and then we now know how to make the triangles. So we're going to add that triangle here up front. One thing I am going to do is confirm there is an overhang, so we actually need to bring this out a little bit more than what we see. We do have a little bit of an overhang on the edges, and then I don't see that there's really much of an overhang on the backside, so we'll probably leave that where it's at. So let's go ahead and extend these out and probably start here. And we're going to grab both of these and let's get us the same perspective. Looks like it goes almost to the end of the patio there. So let's just move that out by dragging it this way. We'll go maybe right there. I think that looks pretty good. That way we can literally just grow this to where it meets up to that edge right there. And it looks like it just barely makes it to the end there. So we're gonna have to go to our details pane. And looks like it's multiple values, so we may have to undo the snap size and then just drag this ever so slowly right there. So looks like there'll just be a little bit of an overlap, but that's fine. Okay, so we got the overhang there. Now we probably want to put in these like pedestal things, these like support beams on the sides. And I don't know the best way to do this other than just probably remaking a pillar or like a box model. So let's go ahead and bring in our modeling tool, which we've gotten pretty good at. And we're going to drag in a box. Let's put it right there. And of course, we're going to shore this up a little bit, make this a little bit smaller. 20 by 20, maybe? Yeah, maybe 25 by 25. Let's see what that looks like. A little bit bigger. And then let's just bring it down a little bit so we have a little bit of wiggle room. And then we're going to up the height quite a bit because it's going to go all the way to the roof. And then let's bring it down. And actually, I'm realizing that it ends up flaring out a little bit right here. Kind of goes up to the right. So looks like it's a straight piece and then it kind of goes up to the right. So we'll do a cut right here and then we'll edit this we'll edit this like sort of triangle piece to kind of spread out a little more. We'll have to cut this in half and then maybe angle it, but we'll see about doing that. So I think that's probably good. Let's go ahead and accept that. And where should we place this? It's like not quite in front of the door. It's almost got like a foot or two on the side there. So let's move this just a little bit to the right. And is it basically right in front of the steps? Looks like it might be just to the right of the steps. Uh, so we'll go like maybe right there. Might be fine. We can always tweak it a little bit because it looks like that lip is like almost on the edge. It flares out just a tad. So we'll do that. Um, let's go ahead and bring this down till we get about right there. And I'm kind of curious if this pillar goes down at all. You can't really see it. It looks like there's a skirt that we'll have to build in on the edge, but that's fine. So we'll build in that skirt so it's hidden. Yeah, we'll like add more to the bottom. And by doing that, it'll make this seem a lot taller because right now it looks pretty stubby. And in the picture, um, this definitely looks a lot taller, but it'll blend in once we get that baseboard in. Okay, so because this is a box, we can actually go ahead and do a polygroup edit. And I think we do insert edge loop. Then we can determine wherever we want this edge loop at, which is probably going to try to line up as best as we can with that railing. It looks like it might be half a foot or so, maybe a whole foot above that railing, and then it flares up. So we'll go like maybe right there. And what that's going to do is that's going to dissect this um, to make two separate boxes. That way we can select this polygroup edit. If we just do corners right here, then we can actually move these corners down. See that? And it actually starts to make this edge here a little more what we would expect. And we can actually drag that over like that to make this flare out, which is exactly what we want. And if we drag this down just a tad, then we can blend it in with the roof. About right there. That looks really good. We don't have anything sticking out of the roof. So if we accept that and then remove modeling mode, then we have this really nice piece right here. And the cool thing about this is we can now copy this. We'll Alt and drag it over, move it this way until we barely intersect that roof right there. And then we just do a 180 and we have the exact same piece on the same exact plane. Hopefully the same exact distance from the other side if we line it up just right. About right there. So that's pretty cool. And let's just make sure that picture is resembling correctly. Yeah, I think that's fine. So one other thing I'm noticing is that there's this support bar, this sort of arch that comes up. So I think I'm going to add that too because I want to try to be as similar as I can be. So I think what I'll do is I'll create a new box because technically our model cylinder is still there. So let's put it this way. And then we're going to shorten up that height. And then let's go ahead and move it into place. I'm pretty sure this is on a 25-degree angle. Is it 25? What did we say that was? I don't even remember. We might have to move it into place. Was it 55? Let's go ahead and move this into place and see what that looks like. Okay, it wasn't quite 55. Might have to just eyeball it here. Let's just rotate this till we got something that's fairly accurate. We'll try that. And then of course we'll have to line it up as best as we can. This should be the same width. We just go down, up, and let's go ahead and blend it up. So we'll just stick it right in there like that, and then put a little bit of an overlap on the roof. So it does look like it's sticking up just barely. So let's just barely go forward. Whoop, that's too much. Okay. Let's do 56. Let's see where that gets us. Okay, that's too much. So 58. All right, let's try 59. There we go. That's better. Does that look reasonable? Yeah, that looks pretty reasonable. Honestly, 60 might be exactly what we need. We'll just make it an even 60. And then we're going to actually extend the height ever so slightly to where it just overlaps the top there. Make sure it's not sticking out of the roof. I think that looks good. And final thing is I want to make sure it lines up here exactly where I want. Yeah, I think that's fine. Let me do a quick scan. I think that looks good. All right, we'll accept that. So same thing. We'll just do a control, an alt drag. And let's just drag this down. And then I'm going to rotate it. Let's rotate according to the Earth. So that way we can just do a quick 180. And same thing, we'll just drag it this way and it should line up almost exactly where we need it as long as we drag it in the right spot. So about right there, let's just eyeball it. I think that'll do it. All right. So we got those arches. Of course, we need to texture them. We'll do that here in a little bit once we have the material we want to use. All right, so now we need the triangles to close up that, truss area. Honestly, what I'm seeing is that, yeah, we'll need it for both sides. So we'll have to fill that in on both sides. We also need a base to go on top to be like the ceiling. So let's see if we can grab an appropriate amount of floor spaces and then just move them up to make one whole ceiling space. So we'll just do that. Do our handy alt drag like this to make a ceiling. We want to make sure we're not sticking outside of the ceiling anywhere. In fact, we could probably move it up just a little bit more to close off some of those gaps. We could see that just darkened right there. So that we have those gaps, and then sure enough, if we're inside, we don't see any light areas with any like light peeking through, which means we're closed off, which is good. Okay, of course these two pieces need to be moved in just a little bit, so we're actually just gonna drag them over like this so that they blend in with the rest of the wall here. Probably like that. All right, so now let's make the triangle piece. Um, you know, I've been using the walls all this time, and I think I'll finish using the like walls here, which is the standard architecture components that we get from starter content. Um, but at some point, I'm probably going to get away from these and start making my own, I think, so that I don't have to reuse assets that I can only use once and I would have to duplicate if I want to make any changes to them. So this is a wall 400 by 300. So let's go ahead and reuse the wall 400 by 300. And honestly, maybe I will go ahead and use the modeling because I do need to make some changes to the poly group, although it's very possible I can make poly group changes. Let's just check this. Can I make poly group changes to a wall? That's the question. So if I select like maybe this wall, can I make poly group changes to it? No. Okay, so that will not work. So for sure, to make this easier, I should go ahead and make a new box here. So I'm going to bring in the box. I know this doesn't quite look like a box. Need to make the depth a little bit wider. We could probably go all the way there. And then let's make the width just a little bit smaller. Make it more of a wall size. And we're going to have to move it right center. And it definitely needs to be a little smaller. And the height could probably go down. And then same thing, let's just move it up so we can get the right size. And this is going to be, of course, the little triangle piece. We'll just get a little bit of overlap there. Go like right there. How does that look? I think that looks good. But our length on this side, does that go to the edge? Yes, kind of does. What does that look like actually? The edge kind of goes all the way out to the end of the awning. We might have to clean that up. We need to basically put a panel here. We'll do that as well. We'll add another piece there, I think, but let's just go ahead and finish this side. So yeah, I think that's fine. Let's just make it a little bit shorter so that we don't have to manipulate as many things. Make sure we can go just right there, maybe. Okay. We'll accept that, and then we're going to do some heavy poly editing here. So we'll go model, poly group, and these two corners need to come in like this. These two to come in here, and that's probably fine. We'll see what the material looks like. Of course, if the material gets all messed up, then the pattern on the material, we may have to edit what we're doing here. But that's pretty much what we're looking for. We might take this poly group and just move it a little bit out. And same with this one. Move it out a little bit just so it overlaps with the roof. And how does this one look? Could probably go out as well, just so the roof overtakes it. We get full overlap. All right, we'll accept that. Now we got a pretty good triangle piece. So let's just alt drag that out. And put it into place over here. Right there. Cool. One thing I'm noticing is that this angle might be a little bit different than this one. So we should probably figure out what that is. Let's see. This angle's at 20 degrees by 90. So this one probably needs to be negative 20. Yeah, because that's negative 25. So let's just put that into place. And then that means that these probably need to be extended. So let's move these down so that we have a little bit of overlap. And it looks like there's a little bit of overhang there, so we'll have to manage that too. We'll probably have to move it up and then move it out, which means we need to extend that a little bit. And I'm now seeing that we'll have to do another polygroup edit. Is that? Yeah, we might have to move that down. Maybe we won't have to do a polygroup edit. Move that down so there's just a little bit of an overlap. How's that? It's not too bad. Oh, whoops, let me control Z that because we need to grab both of those. And just go back down with it. Oh, right there. About right. Just ever so slightly right there, maybe. Okay. Let me clean this up. I think I could probably just move this down a little bit. Right there. How's that? That's good. Okay, does that still look pretty okay? Nothing too crazy going on. All right. Let's just reference our photo. Okay, so we can probably start putting in windows, doors. So I don't have a picture of the back door. But of course we have a picture of the front. So what I'm going to assume is that on Dave's cabin, which I don't remember if this is Dave's cabin or if the other one across the street was Dave's cabin. But I think they were identical, basically, in their architecture. And so probably going to just build one and then duplicate it, I think, at this point, unless I hear otherwise, or I can get some pictures of what they looked like. But it looks like two windows in the front, and then there's a door, I remember, in the front. And then on the back, there's probably two windows, and then the door is on the other side with a staircase kind of like this. So let's go ahead and start with the door, which means this piece is going to have to be switched out with a door piece. So this is 400 by 300, so let's duplicate this. We'll call this Dave's cabin door. And then we're gonna replace selected actor. We'll copy properties and we'll say Dave's cabin door static mesh. That way, this is the only static mesh that we actually end up cutting because we're going to do a cut here. We'll do a plane cut. And sorry, it's not a plane cut, it is a poly cut. And we're going to do a rectangle. And then let's switch this by 90 degrees. Change the height to be the door size. And in fact, let's go ahead and bring in a door. Pretty sure we have a door, don't we? Let's do content. We'll just search door. Got health lodge door, health lodge frame, health lodge door. Let's go ahead and add this door in here, because we may just use this one over and over again. I'm gonna actually cancel that, and I'm gonna move this door into our spot that we want. Go like right there. That way we know exactly the size we want. And let's just move this over. And if we move Manny in there, does that seem like the right size? I think so. Is that the right spot for the door? Let's just check. Yeah, pretty accurate. So let's go ahead and cut that. So we'll go back to this. We'll go to polycut and rotate this by 90. Yep. Huh. It's looking pretty accurate actually. Honestly, it's really not that bad of a deal if it's a little bit bigger because we have this door frame, which really helps. It's actually genius because we don't really have to spend too much time trying to figure out how big we need to make this. All we have to worry about is that the door's in the right spot. Because if we do this, we should be able to walk right in. Yeah. Yeah, because we made this door, you know, a while ago. And it already has all the right physics that we want. One thing I'm noticing is that this door should be set in just a little bit because this wall is pretty big. So like maybe like this. Right there. Let's try that. Wow, this wall is super thick. Um, we might leave that though for now. If we want to change it later, we can. One thing I really like about this door that we made is that it has a window on it, which actually lets in some light. Because if you remember, this room was completely dark, but we can see a lot of lights coming through even this small window. All right, cool. So now let's make our windows. And I'm seeing that we have two walls here, which we're probably gonna have to shorten up because we need to cut these walls appropriately. So I actually I'm gonna do a 180 on this. So we're gonna rotate it. And then I'm gonna move it because I want to shorten it in this direction. And the reason I'm doing this is because I don't want an overlap on these walls. Let's check out how many walls we have here. It looks like we have two. And in fact, what we can do is delete these and then replace them with these two walls that we're making over here. because we're going to put a window basically in between these walls, or like on either side of these walls. Let me just make this a bit longer. Okay. We're going to put a window on both of these walls is what I'm trying to say. And right in the middle is where they're going to dissect. So we'll put one there and one there. That way we can reuse this pattern on the other side and not have to duplicate our work. So if we go to our content drawer, do we have a window that we want to use? Is there one that makes sense? Well, if we look at our photo, we have this split window thing going on. I don't really have a ready poly for it, so I'm actually more inclined to use this one. And then maybe just turn it upside down or on its side, perhaps. Um, let's see what that looks like, actually. And we could probably make this a little bit smaller. Looks pretty thick, though. Looks a little out of the ordinary. Let's pull it out so we can see it a little bit better. Yeah, it might be too thick because it is supposed to be, you know, horizontal. So let me get rid of that. Let's see if this one would be a little bit better. That's obviously too big. So let's shrink this down. This looks more like the right kind of window, to be honest. It's a little bit sideways. I don't know why it's black. It's like way too dark. Um, yeah, that's weirding me out. I don't know why it's dark like that. What about this one? Is this one good? Let's see how big this one is. I think we've used this one before. This one looks pretty good. I like it. It's a 4-piece, like four panes, but this might be good for Dave's cabin for now. If we want to update our windows, we can. I think that's probably suitable for now. Let's just blow it up a little more. Something like that. And then maybe just make it a little taller. What about that? That's probably good. All right, so we'll put one there. It's going to be right on the edge. Oh, let's maybe move it just a little bit more in so we have an accurate idea. Right there. Oh, getting a call from the girlfriend. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. So we were just working on adding some more edits to our. Make sure the stream's going. Okay, looks like we're back up. Okay, we're just making some edits to the windows here of our cabin. So I think that was about the right size that I wanted. Let's just duplicate this, make sure we're in the right spot. Let's duplicate this, move it over to about right there. Let's just eyeball this, see how far apart it is. Maybe a little bit closer. Just bring it in. About right here. Yeah, it's about center, at least on this section. Okay, so we made this a wall, so we can go ahead and cut that. but we need to make this like a window wall because right now it's just a wall 400 by 300. So we're going to go back in here. We're going to say wall 400 by 300. Oh, that's wall window. We need to do uh, well, I guess wherever this lives. I think it's, yeah, wall 400 by 300. Let's go look for it. There it is. Wall 400 by 300. We're going to duplicate it. We're going to call it wall Dave's cabin left window. That way we can edit it and it won't change anything else we got going on. So we'll replace it with that mesh that we just made. Okay, so now we should be good to cut and eventually reuse these for the other side. So we're gonna pull out our handy dandy polycut, rotate that by 90, and move it into place. So reduce the height. Let's reduce the width with a little more fine grain control. And same with the height, we'll try 125. Okay, 120. That's good. Maybe a little bit too far down. Let's move it up. About right there. That looks fine. Let's go a little bit smaller, maybe 115. Oh, not that way. That 120. No, it's 120. And then maybe this one is 90. We'll go with that. Accept that. And let's move this window out of the way just to see how that looks. I think that's great. So then we should be able to just do the same poly cut with the same dimensions. We just have to move this 90 degrees, move it into place. Get Mr. Mannequin out of the way. Actually, I can't move him while I'm doing the poly cut, so we'll do that after. Here, right there. I think that's pretty good. Accept that. And now we should be able to see through the windows. That's awesome. Okay. So now the real question is, can we duplicate this on the backside? So I think this one is going to be replaced with cabin left wall, static mesh. And this one is going to be replaced with cabin recently placed. Replace with place actor. Okay, I don't see the recently placed option here, so we might have to change the static mesh. So let's go change this, and that should be Dave's cabin door. And if we open up the content drawer, move it right into there. Nice. So that is exactly what we want, except for we need to move it. We need to rotate it 180. So let's go 180. And then that right into place. Ooh, I see. So this also needs to rotate 180. So I think it's backwards. Rotate it. No, maybe not. Oh, I see. It's resized. That's the problem. Oh, I got a better idea. Let's just take this existing size piece here, and honestly, we could do the window too. Heck, we could do all of this stuff. Let's just delete these. And let's just go grab everything that we made on this side. So even the door, window, that wall, that window, and we'll just do our favorite technique, which is the alt drag. And it'll duplicate it while we also drag it. Nice. That way, we just do a 180. And then we just put it right into its spot. With a little bit of wall overlap. And then drag it to the end of the platform there. Get it right up there. Let's make sure we have enough room. Sticking too far out. Looks like we might be out just a little bit. So let's drag it in. Right there. Let's see what this side looks like. Okay, this might be kind of hard. We need to get exactly. Um, that's a good angle. Right about there. We'll try to shut off one of these dragging options. Let me see. Toggle snap to grid when you move them. Okay, that's already off. So maybe we just move this piece in a little bit. We'll go red. Location needs to be this way. We'll see if that doesn't mess anything up. Okay, and then let's just move the window as well. Oh, maybe it did mess it up a little bit. Unless this window needs to be resized. It's definitely possible. Well, I'll clean that up and it might also brush out a little bit. Okay, I think we're getting pretty far. One other thing I want to do is move basically these steps, but I want to move them all as a single unit. And so I want to only take the steps. So we're going to do basically those pieces like that. And we're going to alt drag those all the way to the other side. And then we'll have to do a 180 on all these as well. So we'll bring it out here. It should be pretty much right on that same size, but or same height, but let's move it down just slightly. There we go. Okay. let's go ahead and play that. Let's see if the back door works now. Here we go. Back door's looking good. The windows are looking good. All right, cool. So I think there's an open door right here, or maybe there's a closed door, or a door you can lock. And then there's some bunks right here. There's like some sinks, maybe another bunk on that side. And then of course we have maybe some couches in there. I think I remember a couch being right here. Maybe some more bunks, like a table and some chairs right here. Then out front, there might have been a couple tables, definitely like, some chairs or something. Maybe we moved the couch outside. I think we did that at one point. So, yeah, but a little bit closer. I think that's going to do it for tonight because I need to get to bed. But yeah, I think this is getting a lot better. We'll probably work on textures next time so that we have everything looking a little bit nicer. We'll actually create that door in the middle so you can go all the way through. And then we'll put the cots down. We downloaded that cot that we used in the health lodge. It's more of a bunk bed that I think is going to look really good in here because it's pretty accurate to what I remember. So, okay. I know this is a shorter one, but yep, really liking this so far. I think this is going to look really cool once we get this in its rightful spot with some of the trees around and bushes that kind of grew around it. So, yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys on the next one.